So, who wants to count how many times we've said love already and how many more times I'm going to say it this morning here? It is amazing that this divine love that is within us has to be reminded all the time because we let other things get in the way of that. And we need to be flexible with that. And so it's really interesting because in Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 4 to 7, and you've all heard this before. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful, arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoings, but rejoices in truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. We hear this a lot at weddings, don't we? That's kind of a common chapter and verse that is used. I did a rehearsal and then a wedding on Friday, actually a renewal of vows, and they wanted that read. Why? Why? Because that is what we want in our relationships. Whether we're a couple getting married, whether we're renewing vows, whether we're just friends, whatever we are, we want all of that in our relationships going forward. And that means we have to be flexible because we don't feel like being kind all the time, do we? We don't feel like being patient all the time. So that gives us something to really work on. And when Paul wrote to the people in Corinth, he was reminding them to continue to raise their consciousness, which is what we do here every week. We allow opportunities for our consciousness to get even higher and higher. All that Jesus came to teach us. So love is what Jesus came to bring. And just as the people in Corinth needed to hear that as a reminder, so do we, some 2,000 years later. We need to hear that and realize that love requires flexibility, and it's a commitment. It's a commitment, it's an adjustment to go from this little world that we have going on to thinking of the greater world out there, the infinite. And to make changes in our thinking and acting require releasing our divinity, releasing the love within. Do you ever think about yourself being divine? You are. You are. Remember, you're made in the image and likeness of God. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. So being flexible means that in order to get in touch with that, we're going to have to change. We're going to have to get rid of some of those old beliefs, that stuff that we keep doing over and over and over again, expecting things to be different, and then they aren't. The person of God lives in the consciousness of that which will be, not the past. The consciousness of God lives in you, the endless possibilities that await you. So if love is patient and love is kind and it's not envious or boastful, it requires waking up to that divine within us. Even if you don't believe it, just wake up anyway. It'll come. If you just wake up, it'll come. I promise you it will come. And then you'll be able to release that love. You won't be afraid what other people think about you. So what? We learned that last month, didn't we? We can't be worried about what other people think. We are, and I want you to hear this, we are the only means God has for consciously creating new and better conditions. Did you hear that? We are the only means God has for consciously creating new and better conditions. Your mind is the place to be flexible. Your consciousness was created to be an inlet and an outlet of mind in action. That's our fifth basic principle, where we say it's not good enough to just know things. We have to live it. We have to be it. We get caught up in believing that the world is a place where we must struggle from birth until death, and we believe we have to struggle for a living, and there's only a few people we can trust, and things like that. What a horrible way to live. And we think that love is primarily a sex function. Oh, the stories we tell ourselves. They limit us. Last month, we heard that because of our domestication, limiting beliefs are just stories repeated enough to feel real. But they aren't. They aren't the truth of who you are. This world is changing so fast, and relying on things we used to believe and do are changing. Holding that love inside isn't going to work. You got to give it out. And there's a lot of things that exist in this world that we really need to remember to be flexible, accepting changes as they come and welcoming the improvements that come with them. Now, I'm going to give an example of electronics, my favorite thing. Every time there's an upgrade in my phone or computer, and I open it up and I go, what? What is all this now? What is all I don't need this. I'm going back to the old way. The computer doesn't go back. The phone doesn't go back. So what happens? It's a perfect example of how if we're inflexible, we lose, because I lose if I don't accept the new and begin to understand it. And I have to be, guess what? Patient with myself. I have to be kind. I can't insist on my own way because it won't work. I have to call Jesse for help. And then he has to be kind and patient with me. He does a good job of that. And then we have to just keep up. We have to be flexible. We have to be flexible. We don't like that. Again and again, we're called to continue our spiritual upgrading. That goes on and on every day, in every way. The unfoldment of something new within us is there to be brought out, to make the world a better place. I remember reading something that Eric Butterworth wrote, him just saying, keep on keeping on, keep on keeping on. Because as we get older, and all of us do, some of us are older than others here, but we don't retire to life. We grow onward. We don't retire. We have a purpose. We grow in the expression of God, that expression of love. And when we realize that divine within us, not out there somewhere, but in here with us, then life and love kind of mesh together. And the best is yet to come. You're in charge. You can't retire from life. There are no finalities. Everything is changeable. Everything is flexible. In times of deep despair, you may think that you will never be happy again, or you'll be at peace. You keep waiting for that other shoe to drop. But what we know is that our God, the God of all people, is progressive. God is progressive. God is the ever-changing action in the consciousness of humankind. God in you is the intuitive knowing that nothing is final. All things and all situations are going to pass in your life, and they could be greater and better if you look at them that way. The doors of the kingdom of heaven never shut. The kingdom of heaven is right now. And Eddie Watkins' songs and his stories last week were all about us being the inlet and the outlet of these ideas being born of a greater love. He wrote a song, Love is an Inside Job. Remember that last week? Yeah. If I could sing and play the piano, I would do it for you. But you don't have to worry. Raymond Charles Barker says in his book, and that's called The Science of Successful Living, inflexibility breeds the decay of creativity in our being and makes us not able to be vehicles of love. The more we're willing to change, the more loving we will be. He goes on to say the more we grow and become large enough and flexible in our thinking and our understanding of God and humanity, the more we will know that love is life's most important essential. We will have given up the pettiness of personal possessiveness. We will know we cannot hate anymore. We cannot dislike. We cannot misjudge or be jealous and still be a creative part of the order of life. We will handle life with the skill born of sure knowing that spiritually we are with everyone one. And we cannot afford to let the disruption of the unity of spirit happen in our world. And then Eric Butterworth, in his book, Discover the Power Within, he says this: the reason Jesus could love so completely was his awareness that he was a part of all of life, all mind, and all love. He knew that the divine idea of love was omnipresent in all and through all. He sought this love where others sought personal gain. He never possessed anyone, was never jealous of anyone. He knew that within him was the divine, and he need not compete with anyone. All people are equal in mind, in the mind of God, and all have the same spiritual potential. So between St. Paul and his letter, Eric Butterworth, Raymond Charles Barker, we got it. We got it. We have enough to keep us busy that we could never be bored. So the minute you're bored, just go to any one of these things and you won't be bored anymore. So the whole idea is convincing your ego of all this, isn't it? Remember 2 weeks ago I said, send your emotional ego where? To rehab. Send it to rehab, get it straightened out. Well, now's the time to take it out. Let's say, okay, I can handle this. I know what I need to do to be free. I know what I need to be free from suffering. How things can be happening around me, but even though they are, I can choose to look at love and freedom within me so that I can see it and feel it in others. Jesus made the great discovery of the divinity of man. Jesus had lifted himself to complete consciousness, and he reminds us that we do the same thing. Obviously, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lifetime, sometimes many lifetimes. But nonetheless, we press forward to that higher calling of God, grateful for everything. And when we are grateful, things change. You cannot be upset and be grateful at the same time. They don't go together. Along the way, then, what are you getting? You're getting freedom and you're getting abundant living. The important thing is that you have to be faced in the right direction. You have to be moving toward being who you really are. Having the proper boundaries. Also having an idea of a morality within you. Being honest and truthful with yourself. I can tell you that there have been many times in my life that I've been facing in the wrong direction and expecting freedom only to find myself enslaved in my thinking and being. Part of it is patience was never easy for me. I would pray for patience, and what happens when you pray for patience? More things come up so you can try to be patient, right? The idea is you need to be that very thing, patient. And I had to realize that with the help of the Holy Spirit, that I needed to be patient in here. I needed to be it in here first so I could be it with others. So I know, here's my little help. If I am impatient with myself or in a situation, I become aware of it. And that's what we ask all of us to do all the time. Become aware, because when you do, your consciousness raises, right? So when I become aware that I am anxious, I go, I'm being a little impatient right now. So when I feel that anxiety, I have to stop. That's the gift, to be aware. You stop and you go within. That's what I do. I go within and I get in touch with that spark of God, that Christ essence. It makes me take pause. Who am I supposed to be? Oh, I fail at it. But then I pick myself up and go on to a higher understanding, hopefully, Eileen. So, Jesus' last name is not Christ, is it? Okay, we all got that straight. But Christ is the degree of status that Jesus attained. And that's why he talks about that Christ essence within us, that spirit within us, that potential that dwells within every one of us. And that's why Jesus actually in the Bible refers to the indwelling Christ that is within us. That same potential that Jesus attained through complete consciousness. That unconditional love, born in each one of us. Born in each one of us. Only to be discovered over and over. Within, not without. Within. Jesus reminds us in Romans 12:2. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. God's love is brought forth by means of us. God gives without a price. There is no price. It's the single ingredient in living a flexible life, life to the fullest. God's sole purpose is to give, and it's looking for nothing in return. And we're called to that. Yet we know the more we give, the more we receive. It's no wonder that both Jesus and the writers of the New Testament made love the key point. The Old Testament emphasized the law, and I don't know how many laws, I've forgotten, but there's 200 and some laws, But Jesus knew that the laws without love wouldn't work, that it was the wrong premise. And so you know from the Bible and from some of the things we've said in the past month that the Pharisees gave Jesus a hard time all the time. Why? They could not wrap their heads around the fact that I'm not saying the law's bad, but what I'm saying is we need to bring love into it. Jesus knew that the law was complemented by love, and that would fill the person, and that person could emerge in flexibility. Pharisees did not want to be flexible, we know that. But that did not stop Jesus and his message. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said, embrace a flexible, open-mind approach to thinking. Recognize that rigidity can limit spiritual growth and personal transformation. So to remain flexible, we have to watch our reactions to the past that we can't change. No matter what, we cannot change the past. And the future hasn't happened yet. So we come to the present moment. That present moment. Charles Fillmore felt that we needed to constantly refine our thoughts and our beliefs in light of our experiences and spiritual understanding. That's an important sentence. In light of our experiences and spiritual understanding, not a dogma that we have to obey, but that we actually are that light, and to use those experiences and spiritual understanding to allow that love within us to open. Rigidity in thinking can create mental blocks and prevent us from accessing that inner wisdom and intuition that will take us to our full potential. That potential that Jesus said is within every one of us. Every one of us. Not just here, but in the world. Remember, every moment of every day, you are divine intelligence, D-I, not A-I. Okay? You're D-I. Which is revealing the ideas necessary in every moment. We need reminders of who we are, and that's why we talk about this every week here, don't we? And anybody that's around during the week, we have classes. Why do we have this book study that's been going on for over 10 years? Because we need to be reminded of who we are. We have to get rid of that domestication that keeps us. And that's why we stress affirmative prayer and meditation. And we have prayer chaplains every Sunday so that if you want to pray for something, need a little help with something, or if you want to celebrate something, or just be grateful, it doesn't matter. They're here for you. We want to live the Christ life by expressing the qualities of love and compassion, forgiveness and wisdom in our daily interactions. That's the Christ within us. That's the Christ that's within everyone. So I remind myself every time I get turned around, if God is for me, if God is in here, and God is for me, who could be against me? Who? No one. No one. The only person that can be against me is me, if I choose it. Well, this has been quite a month, hasn't it? A month of love. Okay. You have gotten so many tools this month to live your best life, which is our theme this year, right? And so and there is another handout today. Yes, there is another one. So let's see what we covered. The first Sunday, we covered love as a call to action, the need to plug into the light of Jesus, that Christ light, and to remember to be grateful. Remember, 3 things, what? What are you supposed to do in the morning? 3 things you're grateful for when? Before you go potty. He has a 4-year-old. Ellie, you will be grateful for 3 things before you're allowed to go potty. Oh boy, I bet she hurries that up. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. Oh, before your coffee, before all of that. Right, be grateful. That was the first week. The second week, we plugged into self-love. How can we do what Jesus said, to love your neighbor as yourself, if we don't even love ourselves? If we're so hard on ourselves? So there's a handout that I gave out that has 9 different ways that you can be your own best friend and love yourself. Remember? Seemed like a long time ago. Eddie Watkins cemented it even more last week with his music and his message, reminding us that love is an inside job. And this week, I'm asking you to be progressive. I'm asking you to open your hearts and to believe that you are the DI. You are the divine intelligence. I want you to be able to say yes to what inspires you and helps you grow. To put your attention on the endless possibilities that are out there for you. Because every time you do that, you ignite the divine within you, no matter how small or how large. That's the flexibility of spirit working in all of you. Eric Butterworth has it down, boy, in his book, Discover the Power Within You. And I cannot stress enough that the awesome power of love is really who you are. It's really who we all are. And I invite you to use it. Please use it. Use your DI. Next week, ta-da! Yeah, ta-da! Reverend Richard Rogers will be here on the platform, yeah. And he's going to begin his journey with all of us. And some people have said, are you still going to be here? And I said, yes, I think there's room for two of us. These are very exciting, flexible, loving times that we are stepping into. All right, if you could put up the slide, Andrew. I want you to say this after me. I am ready to let love be me.
I am ready to let love be me.
Just as God is love, so am I the flexible power of love.
Just as God is love, so am I the flexible power of love.
God in the midst of me is right and loving action. I am equal to all, and all are equal to me. I see Christ in every person. I unite myself with all people, and for this I give thanks. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for saying the closing prayer with me. I appreciate that. All right.